He's my golfing buddy and my gambling buddy and everything else. My life consultant. Yeah. He's Jay St. Clair. What's up, Jay? How are you?
Hey, buddy. If I was any better, I would be Mrs. Beasley.
She's got it going on, buddy.
When I saw that video I showed you of that Jack Russell, I think chasing emus. It owned me. Absolutely owned me. And then one of them turned around and confronted her.
Right.
And she took off running away.
Right. That is exactly Miss Beasley, too, buddy. She is a tough talker, but when the chips go down, she's probably going to hightail it right behind me or you or anybody else around. That's pretty good. I liked by the way, I want to share the joke that you shared with the audience on the X machine. Husband comes in and says, "What? You know what, honey? I saw I'm going to change it to a raccoon. I saw a raccoon on the way to work today." This is fun. I'm going to do it to Chris. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I saw a raccoon on the way to work today.
Really?
Yeah. And you say,
how do you know he was going to work?
How do you know he's going to work?
Yeah, I saw that one coming. That's good.
I don't know. It's the little things in life, my friend. How you doing, Jay? Is everything all right with you?
No, it's great. It's a beautiful day down here. I had an interesting day. It's always funny when lawyers do home improvement projects because it ends up looking like an I Love Lucy episode. And, so my project today was to trade out a pump on a power washer.
Uh-huh.
And it was quite an adventure.
I bet. I've had my round and round with pressure washers, buddy.
Yeah, so now I'm down to the point where the old motor, the pump, was driven by a gear that's on the shaft coming out of the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the new one does not have a gear. It has a key. So now I have to somehow get this gear off the shaft. And there's no immediately obvious way how to do that.
Jay,
I'm going to need a gear puller.
Yeah. Here's the question: How old is your pressure washer?
Probably about your age.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not quite that.
You know what?
I'd say it's 25 years old.
25-year-old pressure washer.
Right.
Might be time to come off your wallet, Jay.
Well, I mean, the motor, though, it's one of those 5-horsepower Honda motors. Hondas, they just make those great little motors. And the pump's $100.
Uh-huh.
A new pressure washer would be $400. And you know me, I love to tinker with things.
Yeah, that's true.
And now with YouTube and the internet and whatnot, everybody's an expert in everything.
Well, that's right.
I think I told you that my crowning accomplishment in the last few years was repairing my own dishwasher. And I mean, I'm more proud of that than anything I've done in practicing law.
Y'all, this man has won cases before the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, right. And I fixed my dishwasher.
And he fixed his dishwasher.
Uh-huh.
Jay, I have every confidence in the world that you're going to outlive me. But if you don't, I'm saying that at your funeral. I'm saying this man fixed his own dishwasher.
But there's something, I come on here to give advice. I love to give advice. But there's times I need advice, and I need some advice right now, ma'am.
Okay.
I like to eat fruit in the morning with breakfast, but I hate out of season fruit. I hate it. The fake oranges and stuff when it's not in season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I stumbled on blueberries, and blueberries apparently are in season right now, and I love them.
Yeah.
They're great, but I can't figure out the best way to eat blueberries.
Huh.
So I just reach down and get a handful and just eat them by hand. But I don't know. There must be a better way, but I can't figure out where to do it.
So you're looking for blueberry advice. The best way to consume, now, obviously, I can tell you that some folks are going to go smoothie on you. Are you interested in smoothie?
I want raw blueberries.
Okay. Well,
so what do I do? You can't use a fork. I can't.
Well, are you looking for a recipe? Because, if you're
No. What is the best way to get raw blueberries
in your mouth,
my plate to my mouth without dropping them on the floor or looking like an Alabama fan?
Well, God Almighty gave us the best forks in the world. They're called our hands, Jay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I do is just take it, pick up a handful of them, drop a couple of them, and then put them in my mouth.
The question is, how does Olivia like blueberries?
Well, by the time I'm done with breakfast, there's 4 or 5 of them on the floor. But she didn't. She's waiting for the bacon. She's not giving it up for blueberries.
Did you hear where there's some sections of the UK that want to ban bacon?
Yeah, well, they can send it over here.
Yeah, that's what I said. These Muslim communities, and apparently the Muslim folks don't like bacon, which is fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
If y'all don't like bacon, don't eat bacon. More bacon for Jay, more bacon for Matt.
That's right.
But banning bacon, I mean, the British have put up with a lot over the integration of their society. Right. I don't think they're going to put up with the bacon ban.
No, I wouldn't give up bacon.
No.
That's funny.
No,
That's funny.
How much bacon does Olivia get in the mornings? That's the question.
Yeah, because they're not supposed to eat pork. I'll give her maybe 3 bites. Not a whole piece. What do you call it, a slab of bacon? No, I guess a piece of bacon.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't get a whole piece of bacon. She doesn't get a half piece of bacon. She gets maybe 3 bites. Enough to taste it.
Yeah, that's right. Enough to feel like she's getting. I like to, and E hates it, but I like to occasionally, not all the time, but let the dog experience what I'm experiencing. Because we're a pack, right? Give them a little something.
That's right. No, I agree with that completely. I think it makes her feel like we are simpatico.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That I love her, and she's going to experience the same things in life that I experience. But I don't want to experience all the things in life that she experiences.
You're getting a lot of responses on the super text line on the blueberry front.
Oh, good.
And some folks are not listening. Well, that's fine. That's okay. I mean, our late great Phil Valentine said Van Gogh, so they're giving you recipes, and that's fine. Vanilla yogurt and pancakes.
That's okay.
That. But here's the deal. Some folks are just funny. Sylvie writes in and says, "Tell Jay to use tweezers."
Okay, now that's the kind of effort I was looking for. I love it.
Dawn says, "Stab them. They don't roll."
No, they're pretty hard to stab.
Well,
I got little tiny blueberries.
1285 says, "Use a toothpick."
Ooh.
Now that's actually
that.
That's actually pretty good.
I like that. That's smart.
That is actually pretty good. And then a lot of people are saying, "Jay, you are a Southerner, and the way to consume blueberries." 2433 says, "As a Southerner, Jay, the best way to consume blueberries is to trade them with someone for blackberries." That's good.
I was thinking about that. We've been in blackberry winter down here this week a little bit. I wonder how many of your listeners are familiar with that phrase.
Blackberry winter.
Blackberry winter.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That means that it's gotten cold. You got a cold snap going?
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of Indian summer.
Right.
Right, because so you go through summer, we get into fall, and then you get it comes out and gets a little bit warmer, when we call that Indian summer. Well, blackberry winter is the opposite of that. We've come out of winter, we're into spring, and now we got a cold snap. So it's blackberry winter, and I think it's called that because that's either when the blackberries, I think that's when they're ripe, or maybe when they are blooming now. I think it's when they're ripe.
My grandpa is the smartest man I ever met. You're close second, Jay, but Pa was always the smartest man I ever knew. And my grandpa taught me some really good advice about wild blackberries.
Oh, yeah?
Pick them above the pea line. So that's good wisdom. That's good wisdom.
Smart man.
And we're not just talking about humans. We're talking about all sorts of God's critters.
Absolutely.
Pick them above the pea line. So we've got chopsticks. We got that one on.
No, I'm going to go with the toothpick before the chopsticks.
I think Bryant has the best idea so far, is just you pour your blueberries into a wine glass and just pour them from the wine glass into your mouth.
Ooh. Was that Brian?
Bryant,
you're brilliant.
Pretty good.
See, I was thinking about what do they call those little dishes, ramekins, or I can't think.
Oh boy, you're talking about my pay grade. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting them in that like a little bitty bowl, and then just kind of get them out of the bowl. But then they're going to fall down the side of my mouth. But now, wine glass, I have a lot of experience drinking from a wine glass. That's what I like about this idea, man.
Or you could just skip that step, find yourself some blueberry wine, and then there you go. If you have a question of a legal matter of any variety, now's the time to get it in. Jay will answer any and all questions. Jay, what do you like to say about answering these questions? You are what? What are you?
Often wrong, but never in doubt.
Mm-hmm. This is one of the reasons I love our listening audience and what I do for a living, especially on the super text line, Jay. Everybody's an expert. I got these two as soon as my page loads up here. I got. Are you there, Jay?
Yeah, I'm here.
I got you. I got these two super texts in order, like right one behind the other. You ready?
Yep.
We most certainly have a blackberry winter. That's number one. Number two. Sorry, guys, it is not blackberry winter.
Yeah, that sums up the internet. Right?
That's exactly right.
Well, we may not be in blackberry winter this week, but there is such a thing as blackberry winter.
No question.
No doubt about it.
And actually, one of our texters, I kind of lost the text. Oh, yeah. Andy writes in and says, as I understand it, we get redbud winter, dogwood winter, locust winter, then blackberry winter. No, okay. Well, that's fine.
Yep. No, I went down that rabbit hole too, and I think he's exactly right.
There you go. All right, many questions coming in for you, Jay. But my question, I get to go first because my name's on the door. What do you make of this Supreme Court deal? I mean, Samuel Alito did not make much of the majority ruling against Donald Trump in this deal this week. What do you make of it?
Not a lot. Matt. So here was the deal. A judge entered a TRO, temporary restraining order. This is very short-term emergency kind of thing. It said, no, y'all got to pay out $2 billion. And normally those aren't even appealable, Matt. But they got it all the way up to Supreme Court, like within 24 hours. And the court ruled 5-4 that they weren't going to stop that order. Mm-hmm. And, I don't read a whole lot into it, Matt. It's extremely rare for these short-term temporary injunctions to make their way to the United States Supreme Court. If you forced me to draw some conclusion from it, it would be that the court was not going to decide an issue of this import without getting full briefs and arguments and understanding all the nuances of it. And when they're in that mode, they're better to just let the status quo stand. So, but they are going at 90 miles an hour. I'm just amazed. They so much thought and preparation went into this, man. It's amazing. They've had to been thinking about this for years, and there's just so much happening. Drinking out of a fire hose, and they're not going to get it right. Nobody bats 1,000. Mm-hmm. But they're going, and we'll see. I think at the end of the day, they will get the majority of what they want, not only on cost cutting, but on these other things as well. I just saw something that said Kristi Noem. I think I'm saying her name right. Uh-huh. And no, I have no idea who that goodman was y'all were talking about. But Kristi Noem says she is going to deauthorize the union, the public employee union for the Department of Health, of the department she's in charge of.
Yeah, Homeland Security.
Homeland Security. I don't think she's got the authority to do that, but we'll see. They are pressing the envelope in every direction.
Well, and you and I have talked about this, about several matters, to include birthright citizenship. We've discussed that over the weeks, and if you press the envelope, as you put it, like they're doing, some are going to press a little too far, and that's what the courts. But that's what the courts are there for.
Well, no, that's right. It's kind of like racing, man. I mean, we're always looking for the ragged edge going in. You have to sit there and listen to me talk about this a lot. Where you got to win races, you have to find the absolute limit of traction. Mm-hmm. You got to find how fast can I go without breaking traction. Well, there's only one way to do that, man.
Break traction.
You got to break traction.
Jay, I know for a fact that Barber Motorsports, turns 3 and 4 were wearing you out. You felt like you were losing time. Turns 3 or 4. I think I have the turns numbers
Yep,
right.
no, you got it exactly right. Well, it's really two and three
okay.
up in the carousel.
And you just had to turn it around one time just to see where the limit was, right?
Well, I looped it 2 or 3 times.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you say, you know where the traction breaks now.
Right.
Have you heard, by the way, before I get to some calls, have you heard this new Dolly Parton song?
No. No, is it the song to her husband?
If you
or
had,
the one she dedicated?
Yeah, it's called, it's for him. I mean, it is written for Carl Dean. It's called If You Hadn't Been There.
Oh.
And boy, it'll get dust in your eyes.
Well,
you know
don't tell me about it. I don't want to break down crying.
No. I'm gonna let you listen to it on your own time.
Yeah, I'll go listen to it.
All right, let's get to as many as we can. John is in Columbia for Jay St. Clair. John, you're on Fri-Jay. What's going on, buddy?
Yes, sir. So I got a question. So if somebody accuses you of something falsely, you get arrested and you have to bail out of jail, and then come to find out you weren't even in the state at the time they're accusing you of doing this, you can't get your money back for bail or anything. They just falsely accused you of something to do it. Do you have any kind of repercussions? Because the police told me my best interest was to let it go.
Well, you could sue the person who lied on you for defamation. You don't have any claim against the police. Unless they had no reason to believe it was true, which is most unlikely. Somebody just lied.
I mean, there was no proof. She basically said I assaulted her. I was in another state when this supposedly happened.
Yeah.
She did it as a broke-up girlfriend.
But the proof was her saying that. Her testimony is proof. She just didn't have a corroborating. But your remedy is to sue
anything
her.
About you, and you just go to jail.
Did you hear that, John?
Yep.
Jay says that if you sue her, you got to sue her.
Yeah, you can't sue the police. You got to sue her, and she probably ain't got no money.
But if anybody says anything false about you and they arrest you, you just go to jail automatically. You can't get that money back or anything unless you sue.
No, you can't get it back from the state. No,
and you can't. You can't get it back from bail bondsman if you use the bail bondsman. They're not going to give you that money back. So
no, you got to sue. You got to sue the person that lied to own you.
Yeah, the officer that arrested me told me that it happens all the time that, disgruntled girlfriends will say something about their ex-boyfriend or whatever, and you'll go to jail no matter what, they say. And if you prove that it didn't happen, you're still just, the lucky thing is you didn't go to jail for it, basically.
Well, I'm sorry, John, but that's exactly the way it works. What you can do is sue the person that lied on you.
Yeah. And that's just, our system, what is the old saying? It's not perfect. It's the best thing going. It's not perfect.
That's right.
Y'all remember right at the 4 o'clock hour, we were wondering whether Jay knew who Post Malone was. Did y'all hear him slip it in?
Oh, no. I didn't hear that.
Well, what did he say? Jay, Jay said, what'd you say, Jay?
I have no idea who that goomer is.
Who that goomer? They call him Post Malone. They let that fella, Jay, this is going to make you mad. They let this fella that all the kids are listening to nowadays sing a song on the diving board of Elvis Presley's pool at Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't understand what the world's coming to, honestly.
Well, 21st century is not turning out like I thought it would, man.
Well, let's help the poor and downtrodden by talking with Diana in Murfreesboro. Miss Diana, you're on with Jay St. Clair on Fri-Jay.
Yes, sir. I'm going to try and make this short. My husband, 3 years ago, went to work for a man with his company and wanted my husband to be basically a part of his company as a supervisor, all that stuff. But in the meantime, our personal truck was being used for his company. Never in the 2 years did he make a vehicle payment, insurance, pay for repairs, nothing like that. Well, in that 2 years, we put over 150,000 miles on our truck, which brought our truck to 400,000 miles on it, which it's a diesel and it, they do good. Well, he was pulling a trailer of his and the transmission went out. The man paid for the transmission, but then expected us to pay him $200 a week to pay back for the transmission. Now, this was in March of last year. And my husband told him, we're not paying for that transmission. This truck is running the street for your company. You should pay for this transmission. Well, in April, he fired my husband. Then we got a paper from him for taxes that said he was a non-employee and it was a contribution, expecting us to pay taxes and claim this transmission as income.
Huh.
So we talked to our accountant, and he told us to contact the labor board. Well, we did that, and they told us that's not who we needed to talk to. So we're not really sure what we should or should not, or who we can.
Was he drawing? Yeah, was it Diana? Was he drawing a paycheck?
Yes, he was.
Were taxes being withheld from the paycheck?
Yes, they were.
So he was being treated like an employee the whole time. I think there's two issues. I think you've got two issues going on. Let me deal with them separately. First of all is the issue of your husband using his personal vehicle for his job. That's not against the law. If when he was hired, he was told he was going to have his own personal vehicle, and the company would not reimburse him for that, then that's.
No, he was not told that. We offered our truck.
But ma'am, within a week or two, he knew that he was having to use his own vehicle, didn't he? I mean, there came a time when he realized that he was having to use his own vehicle.
Correct.
He knew that pretty quick. Did he ever say to the company, "Hey, are y'all going to reimburse me for my vehicle?"
Yes, several times. And every time that we had damages done to the vehicle that had to be fixed, we would give him the receipt for it to pay us back, and we never ever got paid back.
That was just that was just an unspoken arrangement.
Yeah, that's part of y'all's contract, so to speak, is that you come to work for me, I'll pay you X amount of money, but you're going to have to travel as part of the job, and you got to be responsible for your own vehicle. That's legal. There's nothing. I mean, that's legal. And then the second issue is something about after he was let go or separated. He sent you some kind of paper. I didn't quite get all that said he was not an employee.
Yes, we received a 1099-NE, I think is what it was, the letters were, and it said a non-employee contribution, and it was for the transmission.
So he's trying to he's trying to file out on his taxes.
Well, that's probably right. Actually, that's probably his accountant probably told him to do that, Diana, because that money was not for wages. That was a separate gift given to him. So nobody paid taxes on that, and so that is income.
They claimed it as a business expense.
Right.
Well, it kind of was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, somebody paid for it. Somebody's out the money, and so the bottom line, Diane, is the company's done nothing wrong. If they didn't talk about the vehicle up front, pretty quickly it was obvious to your husband that he was going to have to use his vehicle to do this job, and he wasn't going to get mileage or any kind of car allowance or anything like that. I mean, at that point, he had a decision to make. He could either stay there with that understanding or leave. And his choice was to stay. And so there's nothing you can do about that. And then the guy pays to get the transmission repaired, pays for it out of his pocket. The company paid for it. And so his accountant probably told him you need to issue a 1099 for that. And so you've got to report that.
Go ahead, Dan.
According to the email that I received from his wife, their accountant told them that they should never have turned that over to the accountant for them to send us this paper. But because they have already, now we have to.
Diana,
I have no idea what that means.
So can we? I mean, I don't mean to rush you, but we've got a lot of other people on the line. So are we?
That's fine.
Are we kind of satisfying your question? What? I mean,
well, yes and no. I mean, you're answering my question is not what I want to hear, but yes, you're answering my question.
Yeah,
I get that a lot, Diana. I don't write. I don't write the laws. All I do is report them.
Well, thank you, Diana, for the call.
I'm just sad to report to tell you that you really have no remedy.
Well, it's a good.
You have not been wronged under the law.
It's a good lesson though, and sad that, Diana and her husband had to learn it the hard way though, is that if you come into a job with the expectation that the company's going to provide you a vehicle, and then you get along, couple weeks or month, I mean, you best bring it up, because.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if my transmission goes out on the way to work, my primary use of my truck is coming to and from work. And my transmission goes out. If I go to Cumulus and say, hey, I need some money for my transmission, they're going to look at me like I just ate a roach.
Well, that's right. Because going to and from work, that's personal. Right, that's
what they say. Right,
travel.
Right.
That's just going personal. But I'm understanding her to say that he drove it during the day.
Sure.
As part of his job. Well, you got to get that understanding up front. Ask them up front. Well, am I going to get a car allowance? How's this going to work? And they say, no, I'm sorry, you got to pay for all that yourself. Well, then you got to take that into account of whether you want to take the job or not.
Right. Yeah, Diana, I'm sorry about that. I know that you probably didn't want to hear it, but it is what it is. Terry is next up in Tullahoma with Jay St. Clair. Terry, what you got?
Yeah, my wife and I recently married. Each one of us are in our early 60s, and we each have a single daughter, single grown daughter, not with each other. And we have our own assets, each have our own house and own cars and bank accounts.
Right.
In lieu of a will, and if one of us passes away, we are wanting to know what would be the best way to avoid probate for our houses, our vehicles, and our bank accounts. Our houses are the only things that are not paid off. They have mortgages on them. Right. We're going to sell one of them eventually, but we just haven't. That's my question.
Here's the way to avoid probate, is to go ahead and put the property jointly with right of survivorship into the names of the people that you want to take to have the property when you meet your maker. Let me give you an example. I've got just one heir, my son. And so what I will do when I feel like I'm getting nearer to St. Peter, I will put his name on my deed of my house. And we'll own it jointly with the right of survivorship. So when one of us dies, the other one has 100% ownership of the house. You can do the same on bank accounts. Just make the accounts joint with right of survivorship. And the main thing, and then you can do the same thing. That's what I've done with him for all my financial accounts. He's designated as the beneficiary. You can pass a lot of things outside of probate just by designating beneficiaries. So you had the house, you had the same thing with cars. Just put him on the title for the car, and then the same thing with bank accounts. Have I answered your question, Terry?
I have one more small question about that. So, on the deed. Also even on the cars. I've heard you can list the names of each party, like Terry and Terry, or Terry or Terry.
Yeah, that's right.
Boy, this is where lawyers make their money, Terry.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in this situation, you want it Terry and Carrie. That way, you're joint owners.
Okay.
All right, Terry. I'm sorry, I've got to be the one that moves. But Jay, here's what I would advise you. I would advise a rider on that with Chuck. That the house only goes to him if he's finishing painting those poles in the basement, and I get the floor.
Oh, yeah, well, you ought to get the floor. I mean, every morning when I go down to that garage and look at that floor, Matt, I have the biggest smile on my face. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
A young lady that I like to call the redheaded stranger has written in and says, is it considered, Jay, copyright infringement to refer to yourself as Billy Ray Murphy while you sport an achy, breaky mullet?
I do not believe, copyright is about confusing people and who's what. I think the chances of anybody confusing Matt Murphy with Billy Ray Cyrus are zero.
You'd defend me in that case. Would you defend me in that case,
sir.
Jay? I appreciate
Clean kill, Matt. That's clean
kill. Hey, Matt, could you ask Jay for an update on non-competes? That was a big deal last year. Is there any update on it, or is it just kind of
No, and here's the deal. Now that there's been a change of administration, that was something that was happening under the Biden folks. I haven't seen the Trump folks take a position on it, but my guess is they will go in a different direction on that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's going to happen at a federal level where they're going to outlaw non-competes nationwide. Now, each state, still can do what they want to do, but I would not count on there being a nationwide ban on non-competes.
All right, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try to get to one more in here, at least one, maybe two. Abigail, you are next up with the Jay St. Clair. We're limited on time, but what's your question, ma'am?
I was just wanting to find out. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wanting to find out, how do you communicate with an attorney that is unfamiliar with trying to get a divorce from a narcissistic husband?
You get a different attorney.
How do you communicate with them?
You get a different attorney. Are you asking how do you find an attorney?
Well, the ones I've talked to, they sort of, no sort of about it. They're very unfamiliar with narcissistic abuse. And
you got to keep shopping.
It's very difficult to find one that's familiar enough to defend
you just got to keep
you got to keep shopping, Abigail. Yeah. I'm sorry, but you just got to keep shopping until you find somebody you think's the right person for you.
Yeah, that's sad, but the key there, Jay, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is that if you sit down and you're not comfortable, don't keep going with somebody you're not comfortable with. Same
thing with a doctor. It's really hard to shop for doctors. We don't know if they're good or not. Same thing with lawyers.
Right.
You just got to sit down with them. I'd sit down with them face to face, and if it doesn't feel right, then you got to go shop it.
When you find best buddies, you hang on to them, though, Jay. And I've done that with you. Thank you, my friend. It's been a great edition of Fri-Jay today. I appreciate you, and have a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. See you.
Take care. There's Jay St. Clair.